Are you ready to flip the script on language learning? To turn your classroom from a passive learning environment to a dynamic, real world newsroom? We're diving deep into how current events can transform your teaching and electrify your students' learning experience. Stay tuned because you're about to discover the ultimate hack that will not only change the way you teach, but will also change the way your students view the world. Let's crush it together. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. We'll be right back. Social media isn't just for scrolling through memes or catching up with friends anymore. It's a goldmine for real-time news and discussions. Kids are already on social media, so let's take advantage of that and turn that into a lesson. So they can go ahead and look for influencers, cultural aspects, news articles, memes, whatever they're normally looking for, but this time in the target language. Now, here's a strategy to help you maximize that. You can create a class hashtag. Encourage your students to share news articles or videos they come across in the target language on platforms like Twitter or Instagram using unique class hashtag. This not only makes them actively search for current content, but also involves them in a community discussion outside the classroom. And the beauty of this is that in the classroom, you can search for that hashtag, bring up what they found, and you can have classroom discussions right then and there using social media. It's a win-win for everybody. Another great idea is to follow relevant accounts. So identify and curate news outlets, journalists, and influencers who post about current events in the target language. Use their content as a springboard for class discussions, vocabulary building, and comprehension activities. This allows kids to mix social media along with the classroom and language acquisition all together. And it's a really fun activity for kids because they want to be on their phones, they want to be on social media. Now they have a legitimate excuse. Next up, news-based role plays. This is about taking current events and turning them into an immersive role play experience. Here's the deal. Assign roles based on real figures. Pick a hot topic or a recent event and assign students roles as different stakeholders or figures involved in the news. This could be politicians, activists, citizens, or experts. So this is kind of like a read aloud or a improvisation where they play these parts and actually act out the roles that these people, these politicians, these citizens, these experts, these activists actually took place in the current event. Then you can debate and discuss. You can have students research their roles and then come together for a class debate or press conference. This pushes them to use the language authentically and contextually, arguing their points and defending their positions. It's a great way for them to dig deeper into the current event and learn more about it and think more critically about it. Next up, curated news digests. Instead of letting students get overwhelmed by the barrage of information out there, curate a digest of relevant news items to discuss in class. Here's how. A weekly news email or bulletin board. Compile a list of news articles, videos, and podcasts in the target language and share them with your students on a weekly basis. Make sure to include diverse sources and topics to cater to different interests. Then you can have them choose one or two of them per week to actually do something with, and let them have a choice board. They get to choose the type of article or whatever the media is that you're presenting to them, and they can choose what they do to it from a selection. This gives them some choice and allows them to be more invested into what they're doing. Guided discussion questions is another great idea. For each piece of news, provide a set of discussion questions that focus on comprehension, vocabulary, and critical thinking. This will guide the students' engagement with the content and help structure the classroom discussion. You're going to want to incorporate multimedia resources. News isn't just in print. It's on YouTube, podcasts, and TV. So harness that. News clips and podcasts. Use short news clips, documentaries, and podcasts as listening practice. They're great for hearing authentic language and different accents. Plus, they provide visual and auditory context that can help with comprehension. And on top of that, especially with YouTube, you can slow down the speech if it's too fast and add in closed captions. Not subtitles, but closed captions so they can associate the sounds with the actual words. You can also create a news channel. So have students create their own news segment or podcast episode about current events. This encourages not only comprehension but production in the target language. So you can have maybe a weekly topic and assign a certain group of students each week to create one. They can record it and then you can share it with your class. And over the course of the year, everybody will get a chance to participate and have created a news segment for that week. It's a great way to bring current events right into the classroom and give kids autonomy to be able to practice their language skills. Feeling like you're just going through the motions with your language teaching? It's time to shake things up and truly connect with your students on a whole new level. Introducing the Beyond the Basics mini course, your game changer in the world of comprehensible input. For just $97, you get to access to 10 webinars packed with innovative ideas that will break you out of the rut, skyrocket your teaching skills, and elevate your students' learning like never before. This is not just an investment in your professional development, it's an investment in transforming your classroom into a dynamic, immersive language experience. Are you ready to take your teaching and your students to the next level? Visit mm.us/beyond and let's make it happen. Lastly, let's talk about interactive news boards. Create a space where news can be interacted with on a regular basis. Physical or digital news board, you can set up a bulletin board in your classroom or on online forum where students can post news articles, comment on them, and ask questions. This can be a great way for students to practice writing and reading in the target language. So you can set up like a free blog or a bulletin board and have students contribute and then add to the news information. They can read on it, they can comment it, you can ask them to say what's their favorite part of the news or what part is the most interesting for them, what things would they change in that article, those types of things to get them really engaging with it. Then you can do weekly highlights. So each week, select a few news items to discuss in depth. This can be a student-led activity where they're responsible for summarizing the news and leading the discussion. This gets the kids involved in real life in real time, demonstrating real proficiency where they're thinking spontaneously, gosh, couldn't even think of the word, spontaneously in the target language to talk about the news article and lead a discussion with their fellow students. It's a great way for them to get involved in the culture, get involved in the news, and practice their language skills. Implementing these strategies isn't just about teaching language. It's about fostering global citizens who are informed, engaged, and capable of critically discussing world events in their new language. It's about making the language classroom a dynamic place where the real world constantly seeps in, making learning relevant and urgent. Now, before we wrap up, I've got a question for you. What's the most impactful current event you've discussed in your class, and how did it transform your students' engagement? Drop your stories in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. And don't stop here. YouTube's picked out 2 incredible videos for you to keep the momentum going. Click on either one to dive deeper into the language strategies and insights that can revolutionize your approach to language teaching. Happy comprehensible input.